In this lab, you will be separating your unknown from the impurity by a method called sublimation, which is a combination of evaporating and condensing matter. First, you will set up the glassware. This is done by finding two test tubes that vary slightly in size. One test tube should be able to fit inside of the other, leaving a small gap. You will also need a hot plate and a rubber band. Put the rubber band around the small test tube. This will provide friction to keep the inner test tube from falling into the outer one. The placement should create about an inch gap between the bottom of the large test tube and the bottom of the small test tube. Once the correct placement is found, try not to move the rubber band, but separate the two tubes to add your unknown. To start the purification, you will put your unknown in the large test tube. You will then fit the small test tube inside the large one, with the same placement as before. Crush ice using a mortar and pestle, then pack it into the small test tube. Then, place the reaction over a hot plate until it sublimes. You may need to wrap the large test tube in glass wool and aluminum foil to help it heat. During the procedure, you will continue to pipette out water from the small test tube and replace it with crushed ice. You will see a film begin to form on the small test tube. Once this appears to stop thickening, the reaction is complete and should be taken off of the heat. Allow the tubes to cool to room temperature. Then carefully remove the small test tube and scrape the film into a weighed vial. Finally, reweigh the vial and collect IR, proton NMR, and melting point data.